hello and welcome everybody. It is Pohx again. Actually just fucked up the first part of this video and was live rather than hitting the recording. Well, that's beside the point. So, today I kind of want to talk to you guys about my experiences in Diablo 3. I did in fact promise you guys that I was going to play it for about a week, and I have. I do believe I've played it for about a week, maybe 8 days. I'm pretty sure it's about 7. I want to talk to you guys about, like I said, my experiences in Diablo, you know, what I feel about it. A lot of the negativity that's driven towards the game, I'm going to speak about that. And kind of, I don't want to say comparing it to Path of Exile, but I want to explain, you know, what Diablo 3 has to offer you and what Path of Exile has to offer you. And I'll link both of the games down below. For people who want to see my character in Diablo 3, you can look in the description. I'll have, I think it's called Your Armory, is going to be linked there. And for those guys who don't know Path of Exile, I will link the website, the free-to-play website, in the description down below as well. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and kind of show my character a little bit, showcase just a little bit. Like I said, if you want the full detail, you can look in the description. This is just to show you that I have experienced a bit of Diablo, so, you know, for the people who are experienced, they can gauge where my level is, I guess, of how much I know about the game. So on this character, I have about 67 hours on it. I'd say about 60 hours, 7 hours are about AFK and kind of back and forth, but let's go ahead and select this character right now and just show you a little bit of what I've done. I will show some gameplay while I'm speaking, so it's not going to be me just speaking in front of, you know, this, what I normally would speak in. So let's go ahead and zone my character in. The VOD will have to be, not the VOD, the sound is going to have to be muted because there is music playing. Really fast, like I said, I want to take a minute just to go over my character. You might hear like an echo. I apologize for a bit, I'm on speakers. But here we go. So I'm using a 3-piece Sonmuku set. I'm using a 3-piece Inaz. This is my legendary Scorn. Sorry, my ancient Scorn. I've got Crutus Boots. Leorc's Crown of HP will be swapped for CDR at some other point in time. I've got Unity in 1. My follower's got Unity, and my follower also has Cannot Die Relic. And then I've got Ring of Royal Grandeur. And that's pretty much my character. 20 million toughness. I get up to about 82 million with full buffs, including Epiphany and my dodge buff from Dashing Strike. Highest riff I've cleared solo, I think, is a 41. I haven't really pushed too far. I don't believe I had any deaths in my 41. That's pretty much about it with my character. I just wanted to explain that. I also hit 300 Paragon, so I've played just a little bit on my guy. And now I kind of want to show you guys, I'm going to go ahead and exit off this, and I'm going to show you guys just some basic stuff here. Let's see, let's just leave that alone, and let's take this and put this here. Actually, you guys can't see it, that's right. I have to hit this button here. And you guys can go ahead and watch this while I'm playing, or while I'm speaking. So, let's start off with Diablo 3 first off. So Diablo 3 is, you know, an action role-playing game, like stated before. It's not free to play. It's got a one-time purchase, or I guess two-time purchase if you consider the base game plus the expansion. And it's a game where you can pretty much jump into the game like right away. You can literally just hop right into the game, and you can just start smashing your way through the game. There's not really a big death penalty, which is a good thing and a bad thing. You can customize your character to certain extents as you come, you know, as you kind of further into the game, your customization actually lessens. When you're leveling up, you can choose your skills, you know, you can kind of customize whatever it is that you're doing, but your ultimate goal would be to hit endgame, which is level 70. It'll take a normal person, I would say maybe 8 hours on the high end to hit level 70. It's really not that difficult. The game kind of excels. Not at max level, but I mean, kind of when you start tiering up in difficulties. You've got difficulties ranging all the way from easy, and then going, I don't know, it's like easy, hard, expert, master, I think then Torment 1 through Torment 6. When you hit Torment 6, you get new legendary drops, I believe. And that's kind of when the game starts, is when you start running Torment. Specifically Torment 6. So the game is pretty much built around, you get as much damage as you can, and then you have support classes and whatnot, and you pretty much insta-kill like everything in Diablo. Like, no matter where you are in the game, your goal is to insta-kill everything. Except for certain bosses, then there's actual mechanics. But for the most part, you literally just fly through the game, destroying everything. You know, whatever kill, like, it's pretty much CC lock everything, which is like freezing, stunning, disabling, and one-shotting. That's pretty much what endgame is. There's not really a whole lot of, you know, I gotta maneuver around this, I gotta maneuver around this, I gotta, you know, jump to dodge this, I gotta get out of this AoE. I mean, aside from very few occasions, for the most part, like I said, in a proper group, everything's crowd controlled, everything just blows up and dies, and that's pretty much it. I kind of don't really like that, but that's kind of separate. I'll talk about that a little bit later. So that's pretty much just a little summary of it. I'm going to go into PoE now. Path of Exile is very unforgiving. I'm talking about the standard leagues for both, not talking about the hardcore leagues. So Path of Exile is not very friendly at all. If you fuck your character up, you can't. Sorry, let me clarify with Diablo 3. You can reset your skills at any point in time. Path of Exile, you cannot do that. You get penalized very hard. For your deaths, you lose experience. It's not really too trivial at the beginning, but when you get later on, one death could be, you know, like 10 hours of farming, assuming you actually make it that far. You have a skill tree in Path of Exile. All your stuff is allocated to you in Diablo 3. You just choose what you want. And if you mess your character's skill tree up, your character is not permanently fucked up, but you might as well remake it because it's going to be very expensive to respec your character. Path of Exile's customization is very unique, but at the same time, it's still kind of the same. They both follow the route of, I will insta-kill this, I will insta-kill that. Diablo is a lot more insta-killing. Diablo, your screen is a lot more cluttered from personal experience. Path of Exile is not usually as cluttered. It's a lot easier to see what's happening. I might be biased in this just because I've played PoE for a lot longer than I have played Diablo, and maybe, you know, I'm just not used to seeing all these mobs everywhere on my screen. Path of Exile is very unforgiving also when it comes to getting one shot. If you don't know what you're doing, you will just fall the hell over. So, kind of going also from experience, let's talk about this. This is probably the most common question, or common thing that's brought up is, Diablo 3 is way too easy. You know, the game's too easy. Fuck this, fuck that. You know, the game's so easy, go play PoE. So, I'm going to tell you as a person, sure, Diablo 3 is very, very noob-friendly. You know, there's not that many things that are going to kill you, but what is going to kill you is going to kill you. So you have like affixes on mobs, on rares, and well, blues and rares, we'll call them elites. And there's combinations of it that will kill you, such as like Vortex, Jailer, and Arcane. Now there's things you can do to bypass this, but a normal player is not really going to know this. So when you get jailed, you're locked in place. Unless you have a CC break or some type of teleport, you're locked in place. Arcane is an orb that's dropped on the floor and will rotate either clockwise or counterclockwise, and will deal immense damage depending on what difficulty / resistance you have. Vortex is something that pulls you in. So if you're not CC immune, you can get pulled onto the epicenter of the orb and pretty much almost instantly die and lose your character. Like I said, there are ways you can mitigate this with being CC immune, with having invulnerabilities, with having insane resistances, with freezing the mobs so they can't do it. You know, there's a lot of other stuff, but like I said, a new player is not going to know this, such as myself. I'm a new player. You know, I didn't know about all this stuff at some point in time. But at the same time, you're very limited. Like, there's only so many affixes a mob can have. So, like, if we were to look at that one, let's see if I reselect this guy to show you. Any point in time. There. No, rip. Let's see if I can. Nope, he died. That was a 730 million crit. But anyway, there's only so many affixes a mob can have, and then the mob has its base properties. So with that being said, you learn what can kill you very, very quickly aside from the bosses. In Path of Exile, there's limitless amounts of things that could kill you. In Path of Exile, you have aura stacking, you have mobs with base types, so like, you'll have a base type mob just like in D3 where the base type of the mob is very dangerous, whether it moves very fast, whether it has very high resistances, whether it has, you know, insane critical strike chance or something. And then on top of that, the monster can get like a critical strike roll, and then it can get critical strike damage, and then it can get a resistant to an element, and then it can be a rare, so it gets an extra like 3 buffs. So then it gets like life regeneration with elemental resistance with haste, and then that hasted mob can get an aura from a totem, so it has another extra physical damage. And then there's another rare that comes in and then gives it another bonus damage. and then another bonus day, and it's like so many different things you have to look out for. From my personal experience, I didn't really see that happen in Diablo 3. It was just like, what's gonna kill me is gonna kill me. I get vortex into mobs autoed me, and I fell over. It wasn't like, oh my god, I got one shot. If I did get one shot, it was like Molten was on the floor and I got pulled into it and I died, or I was running like a level 39 Greater Rift with a party and I didn't have Unity, and Leoric, the Skeleton King, like power slammed me and I fell over and died. But at the same time, you know, I still did die in Diablo. I guess a lot of people are like, it's impossible to die in Diablo 3. Like, how could you even die in this game? I don't really understand where that came from. I always pushed myself as a character. When I felt the content was getting too easy, I would, you know, I'd tear it up. I'd go to the next torment. I would go to higher, greater rifts, and you could die very quickly if you don't know what you're doing. If you misplace your positioning, if you get blocked, if you get walled in, if you get pulled in the wrong setup, if you use your cooldowns at the wrong time, there are a lot of times you can just die in your character. And like, you know, like being said, I really enjoy that aspect of Diablo. It was a lot more fun than I thought. Diablo's content, though, is very limited. It used to be extremely limited, and now it's kind of grown, and I'm happy to see that. When I first played Diablo, I played for maybe 40 hours. You know, I hit Inferno, maybe even 50. No, about 40 hours, I want to say. I hit Inferno, killed Diablo on Inferno, and that was it. There was really... The only thing left to do is just farm your gear, but you already finished all the content. There was nothing else to do. Now, it's different. Now you hit 70 relatively quickly, but you're constantly tearing up and you're fighting, you know, harder difficulty. You're going from Torment 1 to Torment 6, and then you're doing your Greater Rifts, and then from your Greater Rifts you get rewarded because you can use upgrade gems. You can choose to upgrade your gems that you get in the future, and then you get this currency called Blood Shards, and you get to gamble with Blood Shards, and then you can get different legendaries, and then you have one legendary, and then your legendary has a chance to roll Ancient, which is like a legendary with 30% more stats. So it's still, you know, it's the same thing, but at least you're given more stuff to do. Granted, it may be repetitive. There's still some more stuff to do. I could see myself playing Diablo for probably about a month and being very happy with myself now. You know, I could roll multiple classes and whatnot. But yeah. But one of the biggest downsides I will bring up, now they are adding a new set into the game, but this is pretty much what I want to bring up, and I could be wrong on certain cases of this, but you guys can, you know, we'll see. So right now, characters are very linear, like I said before. Every barbarian I've ever seen on a live stream uses literally the same setup, because it's off your set. In Path of Exile, you pick a skill gem, and you have your passive tree, and you build your entire character around that skill gem, with a few exceptions. Your whole passive tree is devoted to min-maxing that skill gem. You know, that skill gem is your primary source. You're pretty much only going to use 1 or 2 attacks. Like I said, certain exceptions, you use 5, 6 attacks. But for the most part, that's not the case. But that's how all the customization goes in Path of Exile. You work towards linking your gear, you recolor it, you set this. Every piece of gear is made to fit that one skill gem. In Diablo, it's the complete opposite, and that's also why I can kind of enjoy it. In Diablo, whatever pieces of gear you find determines what skill you use to level up. If you find an axe that says Rend now deals 80% more damage, you're going to use Rend. If you make it to endgame and you pretty much get a set bonus, where set bonuses literally determine your entire character. For example, in Diablo 3, I have a set called like the Sun Muku set, and it's like every time you use one of the following said skills, deal an additional 1000% weapon damage. Well, if your skill does 300% damage, but your set does 1000%, you're now hitting 1300%. So your set literally, you know, 3 times your damage, 3.5 times your damage, whatnot. And then like that's only the 2-piece. And then the 4-piece set, it's like now your original skill deals 5 times the damage. So now that 300 went to like 1500. And then plus the 1000, so now you went from hitting 300% base to literally like 2500 with a full set, because you multiply by 5 and then add the 1000 from before. And it's like your whole, like literally your sets is what makes you who you are. So in Path of Exile, it's your skill gem, which I guess with a few exceptions you can make a build around a unique, which kind of game change, it like alters your character. But in in Diablo, it's your sets. Your sets determine, so your gear ultimately determines what skills you're going to use on your character. And then it's a really cool game you play because there's a ring that you would use in Diablo in almost every build. It's called a Royal Ring of Grandeur or Grandeur, or however the fuck you pronounce it. And it reduces the set requirements by 1. So to get a 6-piece set bonus, you would use a 5-piece. And Diablo now becomes kind of like Monopoly, where how many set bonuses can I get for what? Like you try to squeeze a 2-set here, a 3-set here, a 4-set here, and you literally try to like, I don't know, like put all these little pieces all together to see how far you can take your character. And I still like that. I still, like that one aspect. So now I want to talk about something that's kind of negative to, I guess, both games from my perspective. When you start running these greater rifts, they're pretty much one of the, I don't want to say one of the only ways, but they're definitely superior in terms of experience. When you get to about greater rift above 40, damage becomes absolutely extreme, like insane extreme. Like I said before, for people who know Diablo, it doesn't really matter, but I'll say anyway, I can get to like 80 million toughness in a party, near 100 million, if not 100 million, and I can get literally one shot by certain abilities. And that's, I don't know if that's tanky. For me, as a new player, that's pretty tanky. And I literally just get one shot. And the only way to mitigate majority of this, of what I'm saying, is as follows. Permanently stun everything. Permanently freeze everything. Permanently lock down everything. Make your characters permanently invulnerable by stacking cooldown reduction. Doing said things that kind of defeats the purpose of the game, in my opinion. When you lock everything down, when you freeze everything, when you stun everything, when your character physically can't die because you're immune for extended periods of time rather than a short duration, it kind of just isn't fun for me at that point. And that's why, I've stopped playing before I've hit that point. So that's, like I said, that's some things that I really don't enjoy, and that kind of limits your build diversity in a way. Of if everyone is leaning towards having to stun lock, having to, do this, having to do that, it kind of diminishes how customizable your character is. Like, sure, you can still customize certain parts of your gear, but for the most part, everyone's trying to do the same thing. You're trying to stay alive and do the maximum amount of damage. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe there's like utility builds that can, permanently disable 100%, and you can stay perfectly fine on your build. I'm not really sure. I don't know 100%. I've only hit 300 Paragon. Majority of this was done solo, duo, or trio with my buddy, my Witch Doctor friend, and my Barbarian friend. Path of Exile kind of offers the similar thing in terms of like a knowledge gain. There's a lot of things that'll one-shot you, but you can run all endgame content without getting one-shot for the most part. However, the knowledge game comes in, like I said about Diablo before. If you don't know what you're fighting, if you don't know what can physically kill you, you're gonna die. A lot of bosses in PoE can physically one-hit your character if you don't dodge certain things, or if you get desynced or displaced, or you lagged for a second. You can lose your character from just one attack. I don't necessarily like all of these, but it's not too bad in Path of Exile, because when you learn what to stay away from, you either choose to fight it or you choose not to fight it, and you can still have a very diverse build. Although I will say that certain bosses become immensely harder depending on your character. For example, most players will bypass a lot of mechanics in Path of Exile that one-shot you because they kill it in like a second. And that's it. So that's kind of how that goes. So they are kind of similar in a way, but not like 100%. So now, I guess going back towards it, Path of Exile is a free-to-play game. It's very party-oriented, but you could solo your whole way through the game and have relatively not too much difficulty because of trading, essentially. In Path of Exile, you'd create that build, like I said before. You do whatever you want to do on your character, and whenever content kind of starts to get a little more difficult, you could always, at any point in time, look in trade chat or use online forums to kind of find gear to replace the stats that you're missing. Diablo, you can't do that. And I actually kind of really like that aspect of Diablo. So, like I said, in Path of Exile, you have open trading whenever you want, however you want, for whatever reason. Now I'm going to explain a little bit about how Diablo's trading works. So, if you guys are familiar with like World of Warcraft, for example, when you run a dungeon and gear drops, and anyone in the raid or anyone in the party can trade amongst each other of that said piece of gear for 2 hours, I think, or 4 hours. That's how it is in Diablo. If someone's in your party and a legendary drops, you have 2 hours to be able to trade between that character. So if you get something that's an insane upgrade for your friend, but that's not really an upgrade for you, or it's a minor upgrade for you, you just be like, hey buddy, here you go, and you drop it. However, Diablo 3 has like, I think it's called like smart loot system, where like 95, 99% of the time, gear that you find is made for you. It's made for your class. But there's like that slight, like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 5% chance that it's not. For example, monks and demon hunters' primary attributes are dexterity. Crusaders and barbarians is strength. And wizards and witch doctors is agility. Sorry, intel. I don't know where the fuck that came from. And there are slight occurrences when you could find an intelligence piece on a monk or a barbarian. But in that scenario, if someone is in your party, you could just be like, here you go, man, take it. Now, things you can't trade in Diablo. If you craft anything, it's bound to you. If you gamble anything, it's bound to you. Anything with you doing something with, like, a vendor, you cannot trade it, because that you obtain that by yourself. Even if it was helped, it was given to you by yourself. So that's pretty much where that stands, and I think that's really cool. I like that a lot. That you have trading to a limited degree, but not really. There's not really too much else to talk about, so let me think about what else I was gonna say. Am I looking forward to playing Diablo in the future? Definitely. I'm looking forward to play PoE in the future? Definitely. Like I said, longevity. I've been playing PoE for, 2 years on and off. And I have a lot of fun every time I go back to the game. But I've just been playing it for so damn long, it's hard to get myself hyped again. Except for when new actual content gets released. Diablo, maybe I've had so much fun in it because I don't know. But at the same time, new players don't know anything either. I don't research any of my builds. I don't look around for stuff. I don't really even ask unless people on the stream come on and like, hey, what do you think about this and whatnot? And I'm like, oh, well, let's check it out. One thing I do want to note about Diablo, which is what I'm doing now, this is gambling with your blood shards. This is a really cool system, and I promote any game that has things like this, where basically you don't know whether or not you're going to gain anything for running said, etc., but at least you're given currency that you can spend on for yourself. So it's kind of like a double win. So like you run a dungeon, or sorry, in Diablo you'd run a rift, which is what endgame is, and you would kill mobs and etc., and you have a chance of course, getting legendaries and stuff out of there. And then whenever you kill the boss, he drops blood shards, which you can gamble for any specific piece of gear that you choose. Whether it be your gloves, boots, bracers, chest, one-hand weapon, two-hand weapon, accessories, necklace, whatever. You can choose to gamble it. And, yeah, it's just nice. Even if it doesn't do anything, even if it doesn't work, it's still nice knowing, like, oh, I got that, I gained this. It's cool, It's like your own separate currency that you can spend. But that is pretty much it. I apologize if I left out something dire that I really don't know. I can't really think off the top of my head. It's kind of just rambling on for 23 minutes and 22 seconds. But if there's anything I left out, you guys let me know. I'll answer it in the comments below. I'll, make maybe a new video tailored, attached to this. But this video was pretty much just to tell you guys my experiences between Diablo, and I had a lot of fun. I really did enjoy it a lot. And I'm very excited to be playing it, whether in a new season or if something crazy happens, But for now, that's pretty much going to conclude it. Like I said before, you guys have any questions, you just drop them down below. You guys want to go see my profile, you could go check it in the description. If you guys want to go check out Path of Exile, you can check that in the description as well. And just note that this video is sponsored by Sam's Choice Purified Drinking Water. With that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope you guys have enjoyed yourselves. And ameno.